Wow. Hello, Bright. How's life, fellas? Here's Pop Jaffe. Good to see you. Thank you for being here for Gabbing Games on the 7th of merry old December. I promise you I will not be eating on the stream beyond these first couple of seconds. We're going to kick it off. I'm real tired today. I have been trying so hard to get this sleep apnea test set up, and they just, you're like, great, Jeffy, I tuned in to talk about that. I'm just telling you that I couldn't get it set up yet because they keep missing my calls. But anyway, welcome to Gabbing Games. We've got a lot to talk about. I want to say tomorrow, just give you guys a heads up, tomorrow is no Gabbing Games. We're doing the Game Awards live stream. That'll start about 4:30. There's a pre-show, so I'll probably stream that. That's coming up tomorrow. And we're going to spend a little time today talking about the John Garvin tweets. I reached out to John. I like John a great deal. And I was like, hey, come on the show. Let's talk about it. But he's busy with Ashfall. I think he probably even privatized his tweet. And I didn't really want to go into it. And I don't blame him. So we'll talk about that. But we have a lot of other stuff to talk about. Microsoft doing some crazy shit with Nintendo and Valve. And all kinds of other stuff. So anyway, let me just settle for a second. Let me ask you guys a question. We're going to run a little a little test. A little test so I can get my head in the game because I'm really sleepy. You know how dum-dums make the mystery ones? I have 2 mystery ones. I have a theory that most of these things don't taste exactly like they look, and it's psychological. So my eyes are closed. I'm going to open the first one. I have no idea. You guys can see what this is. I don't know what mystery dum-dum this is. Let me clear the palette. I just want to see if I can tell. Okay, here we go. Oh, God. What is that? Is it peach? That's peach. All right, let's do one more, then we'll start the show. Here's the other one. Don't know what it is. Please be something red or blue. People like Jaffe, stop making that noise. I can't tell that one. I have no idea. This may as well be water. It is blue, but it doesn't taste like anything. All right, here we go. All right. Hey! Dusty Furman. The Connecticut Furmans. Do you guys know Dustin of Last Stand Media is going to be competing with Gabbing Games? Him and his little cohorts are fighting in a Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 Battle of the Ages. We got to schedule it next couple weeks, I'm hoping. We still got 2 slots that can get filled. If you hit me up and you remember on Gabbing Games on the Discord to go head-to-head with Dustin. And who else is playing over there? Your guy who does all your editing. Ben is playing over there. Colin's not going to play because, I don't know, it's not on the Vita or something. But let's start the show. Hey, here we go. God damn. Look, I'm honest with you guys. You know that. Always honest to a fault. I don't even know if you can be honest to a fault. It's not that I'm not feeling the show today. I am. I have a lot of stuff I'm excited to chat with you guys about. I'm kind of in this weird funk right now, and I can't, some people would say, well, Jaffe, if you're a professional, you get your head in the game and you just do it. And I appreciate that. I appreciate the professionalism required to do that. But I don't have that. I'm just kind of like, I'm in a weird, tired funk today. Magello says, are you ill? No, I'm tired, man. What I will tell you is if you don't get, and this is no revelation, if you don't get sleep regularly, it really starts to wear on you and really starts to fuck with you. And my sleep schedule's been off a lot and I'm trying to get it taken care of, but it takes a while to get all these tests set up. So, all right, well, but I'll get into it. I apologize for being a little slow on the uptake. Ravno says, I have a question for you. Will you answer it on stream? I don't know. What is it? Ask me the question. Ask me the goddamn cock-a-doodle question. Oh, I don't need any days, Wayne. I'm sharing. I'm an oversharer. I'm not telling you guys I need some time off. I'm telling you guys, I share my life. I don't want to be one of these guys. Oh, that's another reason, Spaz. Spaz in the chat, he says, we stayed up real late playing Call of Duty. Yeah, so I played last night with the stream. I played Drug Dealer Simulator, which was fun, but I need to play it offline because it's a little complicated in the interface, and then I'm going to get back to streaming it. And then we switched over to Call of Duty and played I don't know how long, but boy, that's such a fun fucking game. Fun fucking game. All right. Hello, Da Vinci's Demons. Yeah, I'm the Martin Scorsese of video games. I don't think so. I don't even know what that means, but I would not put myself in the same sentence as that man with his skill. Okay. Okay, so anyway, tomorrow is the Game Awards. 4:30, we will start streaming around 4:15, 4:30. That's the pre-show. The actual show begins at 5 o'clock. It's always a fun watch. I will be smoking pot. I will be eating pizza. I will have the red phone on. We will just be talking over it the whole night. So if you're actually looking to watch the Game Awards and you're like, hey, shut up, Jaffe. Shut up, person calling in. This is not the show for you tomorrow night. I love Keeley. I love his show, but I think awards are stupid and we make fun of it the whole night long. So that's happening tomorrow. Also, I do want to let you know, I gave you guys some bad data yesterday or the day before. And I don't know if it was my fault or the way the article was written, but the giving away of a Steam Deck every minute on the Game Awards, it is not that you have to have bought a game on a specific day. It's if you bought a Steam game between, I think it was November 18th, 2021 and November 18th, 2022, and you live in America, the UK, Canada, or the European Union, then all you have to do is go to the Game Awards Stream Deck Drop 2022, and it's super simple. It takes 2 seconds. You sign up, and then tomorrow on the show you have to have it open somewhere on your computer. That's one of the stipulations because I guess they're going to be streaming it as well, and you could win. They're going to be giving away a Steam Deck, 512 gigabyte Steam Deck tomorrow, every single minute of the show. So that's pretty exciting. I don't have a Steam Deck. I would never buy a Steam Deck, but if somebody wants to give me one for free just for watching the show I'm already going to watch, fuck yeah. You goddamn right. Mavizzle says I'm the Yuva Bowl of video games. Okay, if I have to play this game, that's not accurate. I would say I am the I'm nothing of video games now, but back in the day, when I was making them regularly, I would rather people look at me either as anywhere from the John Carpenter of video games or the Toby Hooper of video games. You know, somebody who doesn't really go after all the accolades and stuff. They just make shit they think is cool. And if you show up for it, you show up for it. If not, go fuck yourself. Ahmed, thank you for the super chat. I appreciate it. He says, would you platform Kanye West on Gavin and Games? I don't like that verb. If Kanye West called and said, Jaffe, I want to come on your show, I would say, sure. I would love to talk to the guy. But he would probably walk off my show. Oh my God, Jason Wesner, that's a deep cut. The Eric Bogosian of video games. I'll take that. Yeah, no, I of course I would talk to Kanye, but I would talk to Kanye West about things that I would be like, look, you seem really angry. You seem really lost. You seem really alone. You seem like you're suffering from delusions of grandeur. And while I get that's what you know, and that's what you've known for a very, very long time, and so this is your normal, there is a little Kanye in you that is the person I really want to be speaking with, because I don't care about your views on politics. I don't care about your views on Hitler. I think you're a moron when it comes to your views on Hitler, but I don't even know if you believe those views on Hitler. I think what I want to know is what is happening, and it seems like it was kicked off when your mother died. That's what I would start with. That, and if he wants to talk about that, great. If he wants to get up and walk away, what the fuck do I care? Okay, yes, I'm the Uncle Fester of video games. Fuck you all. Fuck you all. Doc Cube says, so you would let Kanye on the show and not Alex Jones. Alex Jones has done so much harm to a number of people who have suffered greatly at the hands of shooters that I don't want to talk to him. Why are you writing member chat? What Ravnos? What? Member chat. I know, I'm getting back to you. You wanted to ask me a question. And I'm like, yeah, sure, ask me, but I don't know if I'm going to answer it. That's all I'm fucking saying. I'm the P Turtle of video games. So has Kanye. His ear poison is a hate crime. I'm not going to, whatever. We're going to focus on video games. I mean, I would talk to almost anyone. Jeffy is the Corey Barlog of video games. There you go. I would talk to almost anyone, especially if I don't agree with them. There are some people I wouldn't talk to because I genuinely think they're dangerous, but Kanye is not one of them. Let's put it this way. I think Kanye West, if you listen to Kanye West and you're of a mind that what he says influences you, then I would suggest that you have much bigger problems than, hearing him on my show. Yes, I would absolutely talk to Osama bin Laden. If somebody came to me and said, hey, Jaffe, I can reach the afterworld. Let's talk to bin Laden. I'd be like, yeah, of course. I would love to talk to bin Laden. Anyway, let's move on. D-Trucks, thank you, buddy. He says, would you be gabbing with Garvin again? Garvin has an open invite to the show any goddamn day of the week, and he knows that. He fucking knows that. The question becomes, right now, like I said, he's head down. He's totally focused on Ashenfall that he's working on with Michael Mumbauer, and we'll see. We'll see where things go. Frank Blasey, last thing I'll say on Kanye, he says, part of me is curious if Kanye, for whatever reason, is trying to torpedo his rep. Look, I think people, and look, I am not, I barely studied psychology in college. The only thing I know about psychology really is the fact that I've been in therapy on and off for 30 years, okay? So I don't really know what I'm talking about, but I know that when I hear Trump, for example, talk about a lot of things, it's clear there's a lot of subtext there, a lot of projecting there. I think when Kanye talks, there's a similar sense of whether he knows it or not, or cares or not, what he is putting out as his public image. A lot of people, myself included, go, okay, that's not just celebrity fake. This is a guy who is, he's having a manic episode, or he's struggling mightily mentally. I don't mean he's mentally sick. I don't know how true that is, but I definitely think he is, he's not grounded right now. You don't always have to be grounded. It's not necessary. It's not necessary to always be grounded, but right now he ain't grounded. Okay, let's move on, shall we? Look at this. If the Game Awards is not too late, and Keeley has promised a streamlined show. I'm hoping it will be. I love watching the show, but hopefully it'll, we're not going to be watching until late at night, which I don't think we will. Because it starts at 5. So worst case, if it's 4 hours, which it won't be, it'll be over at 9. But the point is, the next day, Sony is doing a state of play, or they're basically doing a showcase. 11-minute Forespoken stream shows off new gameplay this Friday. I will say about Forespoken, which if you don't know is the open world, girl gets sucked into this other universe, written a little bit, at least beginning writing was by Gary Whitta and Amy Hennig. you know, it every time they've shown a little more, it looks a teeny tiny little bit better. It's still hard to escape kind of the generic flavor of everything they've shown. And the magic system, while it looks conceptually cool, looks like it's going to be a drag to have to kind of keep track of. I don't know any of that. I'm just basing it off the trailers. But so I will probably be tuning into this and streaming this as well Friday morning at 10 a.m. California time, because I am, you know, I'm curious about it. I'm very curious about if they're able to actually make a go of this. So this is going to be Forespoken. This is coming up on Friday. Oh, Alex S says, Jaffe, Forespoken seems like Forbidden West. You might not finish or like it. I rarely finish anything. And listen, I had a really, you know, it really stuck with me because it really annoyed me that I had a debate, discussion, argument with some folks on a podcast the other day where they were literally saying you can't give an opinion on a game unless you finish it. And I was just like, you know, so to those people who I was talking to, what they're saying is, even though I have sunk well over 100 hours into Elden Ring, the fact that I haven't crossed the finish line and officially seen the credits means I can't have a opinion. I can't give a valid take on that game versus someone who rushed through the game and mainlined it and finished it in 40 hours. That person's view is more valid. I struggle with that, but especially as a guy who quits a lot of games, because, you know, there's a lot to do in life. There's a lot to do in games. And if it's boring, I'm moving on. Dead Riff says, if you can't enjoy a game enough to enjoy it and finish it, you played enough to form an opinion. Right. That's my point. Doc Cube, that's a great point. He says, Forspoken looks bad from the trailers, but it might be another case of Guardians of the Galaxy, which is the same publisher, by the way, where the trailers sucked, but the game was great. Absolutely. I would say you can't review it, says Josh, but of course you can give impressions. But I'm not a professional reviewer. So, you know, I can do what I want to do. If I play Midnight Suns and I finish it or I don't finish it, when I disengage with it. So if I never went back to Midnight Suns, which I will because I love it. If I never went back to Midnight Suns and I said, I recommend this game, and someone says, how can you, and I give it a 9 out of 10 or 8 out of 10. And someone says, how can you do that? You haven't finished it. I'm like, yeah, but I'm reviewing my experience with it. Okay. My experience with Midnight Suns so far is an 8.5 or a 9 out of 10. And I've given it probably 9-10 hours. And that's more than enough for me to say my experience, if you value the way I view video games and see video games, was a really strong experience. 8.5, 9 out of 10. And, you know, if that's not good enough for you, then, you know, ignore my, don't listen to my reviews. What do I care? Yeah, I may not finish Midnight Suns, Ravnos. I mean, I rarely finish any game. And it is telling what I do finish. Okay, let's move on though. This story, I just want to let you know, this is interesting. We've been talking about the Game Awards, Voice Award, Gamers Voice Award or whatever. And it was weird because like Elden Ring is at the bottom of the top 5, then Stray, then God of War, Sonic Frontiers and Genshin Impact are neck and neck for this award. But it turns out, and we talked about this Monday, like this is so weird. This is one of the problems with these award shows. Turns out though, I guess there's a bug. It says hundreds of voters reported that the voting website had a bug on their browsers that prevented them from voting unless they picked Sonic or Genshin Impact first. Then the other options would unlock for them. Isn't that something? Isn't that fucking something? Yeah, Bukaki Drive-By says, if you can't review your game after giving 10 hours of my life to it, I ain't going to play your game. I agree, 100%. 100%. A Cab says, I finish every game. I also watch every movie till the end of the credits. Sir, you have OCD, and that's fine. A lot of people do. Most people are in some degree neurodivergent. I wouldn't, you know, that's you. But I don't consider that a virtue. Jaffe says, Alex, you might get annoyed from people more on God of War Ragnarok if you don't finish. I probably won't finish it. Every time I think I'm going to go back to it, I'm like, I don't know. I'm going to play Call of Duty. That's what okay. Let's talk about real quick. Man, speaking of reviews, Callisto Protocol is now sitting at a 72 on Metacritic. Now, people have been telling me, I've heard about 10 people so far say, Jaffe, I really want you to play it. I want to get your opinion on this game. And I'm like, all right, so I wasn't going to buy it, but I'm going to pick it up when I have run out of Steam on Midnight Suns. So it'll be in the rotation very soon. But I just got to say, I mean, I've been here. I was here with Twisted Metal 2012 where we released it and the network shit didn't work. And you saw the fans, at first they kind of sort of gave you a like, all right, we get it. You're on it. No problem, Jaffe. And as they should have, very quickly, they turned on us. They were just like, what the fuck, man? I'm sympathetic, but I dropped real fucking money on this and I can't go online, and you promised I could go online, and they weren't wrong. So it's from an interesting vantage point that I read some of Glenn Schofield, the CEO of Striking Distance, who put out Callisto Protocol's tweets when he is responding to the fan base that is upset because the game has been buggy. It's getting better. Here's what he says when he's talking about why the PC version was so buggy. He says a wrong file was patched. Just a freaking error by someone rushing. Then he says, okay, I don't think these are new. Sorry. I got to figure out why it's doing that. I'll turn these off for the moment, but if you subscribe today on the show, of course, I'll chat with you. There we go. Because it gets really loud is all. He says, I'll take vacation when it's fixed, says Schofield. My fans are my priority. Then he says, being mean, cynical, and acting like you know me isn't making it go any quicker. I'd ask for patience and understanding as we fix this. We aren't happy about it either. And all I can say is it's just like, man, I don't know if they had the option to crunch more than they did. I know he walked it back and said, oh, we don't believe in crunch, but this is what you get. The people online that are going on talking about, yeah, don't crunch, we appreciate it, blah, blah. That are so minor. Nobody cares. Fuck you guys. If they knew this was the game, and he's saying he didn't, but a lot of these excuses aren't adding up. I mean, it's clerical error. Okay, that's why that happened. Oh, I said we crunched, but we really didn't. I didn't mean that. That's why that happened. My take is that there's just too many of these excuses to add up to make me go, at least one of them ain't true. At least one of them's PR. But I would just say, yeah, at this point on, if you're going to get into the business, certainly at AAA, and you're not willing to crunch, then it's not your, it's not for you. It's not for you. If you're watching this show and you're considering going into AAA now. It also applies to other areas of games, but let's just talk about the big budget games. If you're not willing to crunch like a motherfucker, it's not a business for you. Find something else to do with your life. Jaffe, why do you think game devs don't care about a smooth frame rate? That's not true. They do. Some of them are obsessed with it. Some of them, like me, don't care as much. I think it has to do with, oh, no, I have to turn that on. I've been waiting to see if that works. Does it work? Scott Woodford is a sexy, damn generous as fuck bastard. Thank you. Oh, but the visuals didn't pop. Come on, man. Oh, did we get him? Bacon Magma got one? Hang on. It didn't work because I had it turned off. Thank you, Scott Woodford, for gifting a David Jaffe membership to Bacon Magma or whoever got that. I sure do appreciate that, buddy. Thanks, man. It does. Captain Crunch says it sounds pretty convenient marketing PR. I agree. I totally agree. But no, but yeah, Scott, thank you, buddy. And Bacon, welcome back. you know, regarding frame rate, there are developers like some I've worked with that are obsessed with frame rate. And I think depending on the game, it makes more or less sense to be obsessed with frame rate. This is a show, fellas. I can't get on a pace. Hang on. I got to get this. Sorry. I'm telling you, it's that kind of day. It's that kind of day. Screenplay Jose says, if developers don't care about frame rate, then how come all these remasters try their darndest to improve said frame rate? You know, they care in the sense that it would be great if they can get 60, and they know some people care. But there it is. Did it pop? Did it pop? Yeah, there's the pic. Baby. You goddamn. You goddamn right. Thank you for that, Scott Woodford. Scott Woodford gave Alex S a membership. Thank you, Moneybags. I sure do appreciate that, buddy. But yeah, I mean, they care. They'd love to get it at 60, but some games are less important to be at 60 than others. So, you know, I think it just depends. Mark Arnold says, no game gets the level of QA required to ensure an inscrutable level of polish until it's in the hands of the public. Aaron, crash logs the best QA data a developer can expect. Sure. Of course. I get it. But you can do better, but you need to do it, you know, you need to add more time or you need to crunch more. How it goes. It's like, well, we want to be out before Dead Space. We want to be out for Christmas. Cool. We don't want to crunch. Sucks to be you. Days Gone director, according to VGC and Twitter, blames middling reviews on woke reviewers and tech issues. So somebody reached out to Johnny Garvin, who's a buddy of mine. I like John a great deal. And he's been on the show a number of times. And he asked this guy in a tweet, he says, you know, why do you think that that Days Gone, you know, didn't do so well? You know, why didn't it get more praise? And John Garvin tweeted this. He says 3 reasons. Number 1, it had tech issues like bugs, streaming, and frame rate. I didn't play it then. I played it on PS5 when all that had gotten fixed. But certainly, if that was the case, just like Callisto, of course that should have hit the reviews. Of course that should have hit the praise. And I don't think John Garvin or Jeff Ross would disagree with that. I think they would say, well, yeah, that certainly shoved our Metacritic down to a point where we had an uphill battle. I don't think most people would agree with that. The second 2, I think, are more interesting and more debatable and discussable. Number 2, he says it had reviewers who couldn't be bothered to actually play the game. Now, when I have talked to John about this, and maybe Jeff, but certainly John about this on the show, he has data to back it up. He literally can look, you know, just like you guys. You're not a gamer. I looked at your trophy list. You can look at these guys' accounts, and you can look at what they're writing. And John's like, look, based on what this guy wrote, and based on what I know happens in the game where, in terms of trophy data and just the narrative of the game and the structure of the game, you can't write that paragraph without not having played more than 5 hours of the game. Okay? And so if the reviewer's review was, this game was so boring to me, I stopped playing it in 5 hours. Okay, that's a valid review, because it says something about the quality of the game in the mind of that reviewer. But I do think when Garvin is able to sit here and walk you through these cases where he can prove to you that some of the reviewers that wrote reviews did not play the game enough to write about what they were writing about, I think that's absolutely accurate. And I've seen a lot of people coming after John today, like, he's so salty, fuck. And I'll get to the third one in a second, but let me just fucking say this. You know, in defense of developers, and I am not one at the moment, but when I was one, and just, I think I can speak for them on this, maybe not, but I think I can. Certainly it's how I felt. It's like, when you've got people like John or people like me or people like, who's the guy who gets angry at fans from Platinum who just did Bayonetta 3 and blocks people all the time? It's like, would you rather have people who are passionate and driven and even though, yes, Days Gone was 2019, and it's in the past, and John has moved on. John is directing a new game. Jeff has moved on. Jeff is the creative director or one of the creative directors over at Crystal Dynamics. But forgive these guys or forgive me or forgive any of these people that if they've done something and it didn't connect or people don't like it, if they're passionate about it, don't you want the people who create your entertainment to be passionate, or do you want them to be fucking drones? One moment, my boy has just entered the room. Let's see what Calvin has to say. Calvin, what's happening? It should be on the table. It's wrapped in a brown bag. You want to shut that? Thanks, champ. So he's not whining on Twitter, Ravnos. He literally was asked by someone, hey, he didn't go to get a PR firm and say, hey, I want people to know I said this. I don't even think he did a retweet. He just answered this guy and the news picked it up. So I don't think he's whining. He's answering a question. There's no doubt also that Sony treated John and Jeff in a way that they feel was not the way people who had been lifers for the most part, who had given a lot to that studio, in the way they should have been treated. I don't know a lot of the details. So, Ravnos, I'm going to stop reading your goddamn tweets. I'm not done. I said there were 3 things. We're only on number 2. Ravnos comes in with, your title made it sound like you blame woke journos. Yes, I'm not at number 3 yet. Relax. Ahmed, thank you for the super chat, buddy. He says, Jeffy, why do you lambast Schofield but are running CIA color ops for Garvin? I don't know what that means. And I'm not lambasting Schofield. I'm saying that Schofield is basically saying things that I go, this seems, there's too many walkbacks from him that it seems like PR and spin. That's all I'm fucking saying. Look, chances are what I know about Glenn, which is very little, he probably wanted more time and he probably wanted to crunch and he probably did crunch. And then he walked it back because it wasn't a good look for some stupid fucking reason. Yeah, go take your Adderall, you fuck. Go home and get your shine box. Number 3, though, the John Garvin got a lot of shit over on this. This is the 3rd reason he says that Days Gone didn't connect. He says in 3, it had woke reviewers who couldn't handle a gruff white biker looking at his date's ass. And he is not wrong. He is not wrong. And the only people who suggest he's wrong are, surprise, surprise, people who probably haven't played Days Gone. Okay? You can go on the internet right now and see a compiled list of reviews that clearly took points away because the thematic was found to be by some of the reviewers offensive. Okay? And that's fine, but it's not accurate because if you actually play Days Gone, it is a very diverse cast in that game in terms of everything from age to people of color to white people to indigenous people, if I remember. It's been a while since I played it. So first off, that's not accurate. The second part is, I'm sorry, I've said this before, this is ridiculous to me. Where when Sarah, I think her name is, Deacon's wife, when they're getting married, says, promise to ride me like you ride my bike or as much as you ride your bike or something. So that's a fun, flirty fucking line. What's the matter with it? It's a line where 2 people who are intimate, who are consensual, who are adults, who are basically saying, hey, we're getting married now, but let's, you better keep fucking me good. What's the problem with that? What is the fucking problem with that? Other than maybe it triggered some of these people who were like, I've never really had good sex before. I don't know what they're talking about. Is he comparing her to a motorcycle? Although she said it. So no. So Ravnos, and this is where the rubber meets the road. Ravnos says, so he thinks people stopped playing Days Gone because of journos crying or people didn't buy it because they read reviews. No. So what I'm saying is, and what I think Garvin is probably saying, is that the tech issues, as they should have, hurt the reviews. Reviewers who couldn't be bothered to play the game, I don't know why, but frankly, if they were bored by it, that should have been in their review, and that they should have said, I just stopped playing it. But that would have hurt the game. And certainly for some of the reviews that worked for really big outlets, their inability or their sense of looking at a game and seeing something that wasn't there, which was an offensive title, even by their, super Puritan standards, that hit reviews. So just like Callisto Protocol, it's not that I've gone through every review of Callisto Protocol. I just know it's sitting at a 72. I've heard people say it's buggy. And when I've skimmed it, I'm like, oh, people say the combat's a lot of dodging and it feels heavy and it's not very survival horror. I'll pass. So Garvin's absolutely right. All those things did contribute to the game not being given what he considers a fair shake. And I think he's right. But although there were things like the bugs that are unforgivable, you want to release a first party title with crashes and frame rate issues and all that, that's something that should have been taken care of. And frankly, that's Sony's fault. I mean, yeah, you can blame Bend, but you can also blame Sony and go, look, I don't know, maybe they said, look, we're going to take a bath either way. If we extend it 4 months and miss our schedule, we're going to take a bath, but that's less of a bath than if we basically put it out, we take a reputation hit, it sells enough to break even, and we just cut this franchise loose. But again, you guys acting like this was a boring game. Everybody has a right to their opinion. Okay? But and the other part that isn't mentioned is that zombies were oversaturated. I don't care if you call them clickers or the Horde. They were fucking zombies. And The Last of Us 2, for this kind of game, not an open world game, but for a single player story-based game, Last of Us 1 and 2 did it better in terms of that kind of game. Although I actually enjoyed Days Gone more than Last of Us 1, but not as much as Last of Us 2. And so, there was also that. But Omicron, he says, why is the Days Gone director still complaining about anything as if they're going to say to make a sequel? Somebody asked him directly and he responded, and then it made the news. That's it. He's not out there banging a drum trying to get a sequel made. He's moved on. Let the man be passionate. I mean, God forbid, seriously, don't you have anything in your life that if you created, I don't know. I don't get that. I asked this at the beginning of the story. We're going to move on in just a second, but it's just like, don't you want people who make what you make or make what you consume to love what they're doing? Don't you want them to hurt when their things fail? Otherwise, they're just making widgets. Do you think the lady or the man who flips your burgers at the fast food joint really is thinking about you having a good meal? No, they're just doing a job. You want that? You fucking want that? Or do you want someone who's like, man, it's taken me 4 or 5 years to get over this. I dedicated 8 years of my life to this game, from story and pre-production and finding the team and raising the money, whatever it was. And then it came out and it bombed. Well, first off, what have you ever tried? I mean, Garvin's putting his balls out there. You don't have to like his game. You don't have to like his writing. You can hate his game. You can hate bikers. But to act like this guy is it's bad form for him to be emotional still about something he put his heart and soul into. Fuck you is what I would say to you. Yeah, Van says, I will deliver the best burger to this person, says the guy at Wendy's. Right. And shame on some of you guys. Garvin and Ross did the Siphon Filter series, And frankly, they did one of the best Uncharted games. I don't care what you say. Uncharted to me is not great because of the production value. Uncharted Golden Abyss was probably the second or third best Uncharted game. So, you know, at least put a little fucking respect on it. I don't mean you have to, but I'm like, Jesus, it's not like, you know, I don't know. It just annoys me. Clearly. Kenneth says, one time I posted a picture on Facebook and it only got 2 likes. I know how Garvin feels, right? Okay. Is it a great game or not? Says Cosmic Bandito. I liked it. I didn't love it. I thought it had pacing problems. But I thought there was a lot about it that was fantastic. I thought the motorcycle was great. I really loved the characters in the game. The gunplay was great. I loved the sense of just being in that world. It felt fun to sort of live in that space and explore it. I enjoyed it, but I don't give a fuck if you didn't like it. You're not going to tell me it was bad. It wasn't bad. I mean, you can tell me, but I'll ignore you. I enjoyed it. Was it the best game ever? No. You can say it's whining. I don't care. He's not. The man's doing his work. He's busting his ass. He's also he's also out there in the world going, like it or don't like it, but I'm gonna fucking put my balls on the plate. You fucking do it. You fucking do. My good buddy, who I know I need to get back to, and we got to schedule something. Rich, Review Tech USA drops a big super chat, gets a picture of Supergirl's pantyhose. Says, I feel you on getting into funks and showing it on live stream. Well, I mean, that's the thing, man. I mean, you've been streaming a lot more lately. I know you're also going back to your videos as well. But yeah, I mean, I very much like kind of the showbiz adage of you got to show up. Because even if you don't feel like it, there's probably somebody out there lurking who feels worse than you at the moment. And you know, even though you're not like a fucking therapist, they might need the distraction you provide. But beyond that, I think it's important to not, you know, I'd rather stream, and if I'm feeling kind of I'd rather let people know about it because that's real. Instead of like, fuck, Jeff, he's always happy. How's he always happy? He's always got so much energy. My life sucks because I don't have that much energy. He's so lucky. That shit's dangerous, man. I hope you're well, Rich. You old cockadoodie so-and-so. Are you watching the Game Awards tomorrow night? Ahmad drops super chat thing, but he says, at the highest level, one failure and you're out. We need to hold video game creatives to Shakespeare levels. It's not mean, it's business. Saying I didn't like, not me, but you, saying I didn't like God of War, Days Gone, and I'm not going to buy it, and I understand why it didn't do well, is holding the game to a standard that says it's business, it's not personal. I agree with that. I don't think John would have a problem with that. It's when it gets personal, when people come at you, even not just for the work you do, but for the passion you remain, you know, I've said before, I love Drawn to Death as much as I love God of War 2005. But one was a massive flop and one was a massive hit, but I put the same love and passion into both of them. It's when people come at you for stuff like that it's not about the business. It's about let the man answer a person's question, and just because you think he's whining, fuck you. This was years of this guy's life, and you've done shit. You've done nothing. You've done nothing when it comes to sort of putting your creative voice into the world. When it comes to nurturing something for over a decade sometimes, putting it out there and watching it fail. You should look at someone like this guy and go, okay, that guy's got some balls. I didn't like what he made, but if that had been me, I get why that would hurt. That's all I'm saying. Be a little compassionate. Zack Snyder never goes after his critics. Why does he need to, Brett, or decide? He's got a bunch of fucking fanboys who'll fucking come after you if you say anything bad about Zack Snyder. Doug says, I get you're tasked with defending a friend here. No, I'm not. But at some point, you got to take personal responsibility. Oh my God. And we're going to move on because I don't want to belabor the point, but I got to answer some of these. I don't think, look.
Great fighting. You're an up-and-coming boxer.
I don't think it's complicated, actually, when you think about it, because if you're John Garvin now, and let's say Days Gone was the story that he wanted to tell with the characters he wanted, and he's right. If you look back through his catalog, I mean, just like, even with me, we had LGBT represented in Jet Moto and Twisted Metal Black. We didn't announce it. We didn't look for kudos. We just did it. Because we felt like, well, that makes sense. Let's do that. His gameography is similar if you look back at some of his games he's made. But you would be probably right if you thought John Garvin is now going, well, if I make Ashenfall next, which he is, I better do the woke checklist because I don't want to get a ding. No, you should follow your vision. Vision, art, games are art. Well, then shut the fuck up. If he follows his vision and he's got, like, here's somebody in the chat saying one of the reviewers, where did it go? Lucy O'Brien in her original review for IGN, it's from Fearless Cheshire Cat, said the latter half of the game never picked up, while later she admitted she never beat the game. So what do you want? You want him to follow his passion and when he gets his nose bloodied, he feels? Or do you want him to go, well, lesson learned, checklist. Got to have a diverse star and this. Come on. What do you want from this guy? Maxwell, thank you for the super chat. He says, you can call it winning, but is he wrong? I don't think he's wrong. The game was good and enjoyable. Shame we're never getting a sequel. I agree. I absolutely agree. And the nice thing about the Days Gone fandom is that they are out there. I mean, they're always sending pictures and tattoos and art to Jeff and John. And again, don't tell me I'm tasked with defending a friend. Fuck you. Shame on you. Who the fuck do you think you're talking to? You know how many bridges I've burnt because the only person I'm tasked with doing a good job for is this audience? Because I refuse to do a show like this and not tell people what I think. And sometimes that means saying things about people who I genuinely hold near and dear, where I go, I don't like what they're doing. Fucking come at me, tell me I'm doing this because John's my friend. I'm doing it because I'm not saying Days Gone's the best game ever. I'm saying the guy is an artist and he's passionate, and shame on you for acting like a passionate guy needs to be shamed for actually feeling passion. Okay. Mr. Super Tash says, I played Days Gone first time this spring, and it's one of my favorites. An amazing game in many ways, clearly shows issues in every area. Yeah, there's issues. Absolutely. Okay. All right. Let's move on. Because I'm not going to convince you that you're stupid. I'm not saying you're all stupid. I'm just saying it's just, I don't know. I don't know if I could do this job anymore. Not this job, but the game making job anymore with you guys. With the fans out there. Just like, shut up. You want access. And then you want, fuck you. Drive me crazy. Eddie T says Yuji Naka's back in jail. I don't know what to say, man. That guy has had a rough fucking year. I'm not saying he didn't break the law. Maybe he should be in jail. I didn't say everybody in the chat's stupid. I'm talking to like a couple of people in the chat. Thanks, Frank. But yeah, I mean, he releases Balan Wonderland, which is just a shit show. Then I think he did some kind of lawsuit because he's like, it's not my fault it was a shit show, it's the producer's fault. Then he goes off and releases a indie app that I don't think does anything. market-wise. And then he gets arrested for insider trading, and then he gets arrested again. This guy can't get a break. Steffi says, bend the knee to the woke. Who are you talking to, Steffi? What's Steffi's point? Somebody says Steffi has a good point. I don't know what it is. You can be passionate without hurling generalized insults. What insults did he hurl? He literally said it had tech issues. He's copping to that. It had reviewers who couldn't be bothered to actually play the game. He has evidence of that. It had woke reviewers who couldn't handle a gruff white biker looking at his date's ass. He has evidence of that. I've seen it. You've seen it. It's all over the internet. What insults is he hurling? He's explaining why the game didn't do well. At least according to the response of the guy who wrote him the tweet. That's it.
That's a huge bitch.
It's about Xbox. Listen to this now. Oh, baby. Listen to this. God, that's good. Listen. Nicholas Ricker says, I get you're tasked with defending a friend here, but Yuji Naka deserves it. He might. He might. That's good. That's good. What you want? Oh yeah, I got to get a booster shot. Everybody's got COVID here, not here, but in California. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Jeff Boyardee. Happy birthday. Happy birthday, Jeff Boyardee. Thank you for being a member and have a great happy birthday. Congrats on making it another year. It very much beats the alternative. Now, Matt says, thank you for Super Chat, buddy. He says, when you picked up the phone and muted, was that Garvin? No, it was my ex-wife who wanted to know if I needed anything at the grocery store. Listen to me. Xbox, you know this, but I want to talk about it briefly. Xbox commits to bringing Call of Duty to Nintendo 10 years. For 10 years, if it acquires Activision Blizzard. Phil Spencer and who's the president over there? It's like Pete Smith or some weird name, like basic name. But Phil Spencer comes out and says, hey, look, we're going to put Call of Duty on Nintendo for 10 years. If this deal goes through, we're going to put Call of Duty on Valve, Steam. Brad Smith is his name, who's the president. He says, hey, our acquisition will bring Call of Duty to more gamers and more platforms than ever before. That's good for competition and good for consumers. Thank you, Nintendo. Any day Sony wants to sit down and talk, we'll be happy to hammer out a 10-year deal for PlayStation as well. And so, I mean, they're out there doing the PR because tomorrow, we could have some information as soon as tomorrow. The FTC board is meeting tomorrow on the 8th, and they are going to decide if they have enough data to make a call, if they're going to put it up to a vote, what's going to happen. That's happening tomorrow. So Xbox is out there really doing all they can to go, look, we'll sign legal documents. We're not trying to take Call of Duty away from Sony. I mean, they really are. They're not, but, the minute it goes on Game Pass is over. But still, and I think it's going to go through. But anyway, so they go to Nintendo and people are like, well, you can't run it on Switch. And they even asked Phil Spencer about that. And he's like, well, look, it would take a lot of work to get it working on Switch. But they are assuming, as I think we all are, that there's going to be a Switch Pro or a Switch replacement much sooner than later. And he's probably talking about that. And as for Valve came out and said, Gabe Newell came out and said, yeah, we don't really need to sign anything. Call of Duty's been good for us. It's good for them. We trust Microsoft. We don't need a contract. I mean, that's, maybe Gabe's just a genius who knows who to trust and he's never been fucked over. Or maybe it's just, lip service, but still, it's basically at this point. What did they say? Somebody said, let me see if I can find the quote. It was, this is Phil Spencer. He says, there's been one game industry participant that's been really raising all the objections, and that's Sony. And they've been fairly public about the things they don't meet their expectations, he said. From where I sit, meaning Phil, or from where we sit, meaning Microsoft, it's clear they're spending more time with regulators than they are with us to try to get the deal done. Spencer added, our intent is to become more relevant on more screens. We have a pretty good idea of how to build a win-win relationship with Nintendo and, frankly, with Sony. So, Call of Duty is still available on PS4. Why not Switch, says Frank. I guess they're just saying that they don't think they could get where Call of Duty is today. They couldn't do a port that could do it justice. They said the last Call of Duty on a Nintendo platform was Call of Duty Ghost, which I don't even remember that game, which was for the Wii. But yeah, I think if they're saying, let's bring Warzone 2.0, let's bring DMZ, and let's bring Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 over to the Switch, I think that's what he's talking about. I don't think they're not saying they couldn't make a Call of Duty, but Spencer has said from here on out, if we get this deal done, every single time we release a mainline Call of Duty or a Call of Duty in general, it will be on all the major platforms. Nintendo, Sony, Microsoft is what he's saying, if the deal gets done. Thank you for the super chat. Fearless Cheshire Cat coming in hot, she says, or he says, what's a Cheshire Cat? I assume it's a woman, but it doesn't have to be. It really doesn't matter. Am I assuming the gender of an animal? Fuck you. This is my first time watching your stream, Jaffe, or videos, but you're hilarious. I don't know anything about you. But what do you think of Final Fantasy VII Remake if you played it? I haven't played it. Everybody tells me it's great, Cheshire Cat. And I saw today that the Final Fantasy, is it Crisis Core, that was remade from the Vita or the PSP? I don't know which one. That's getting some solid reviews. Some of the outlets love it, and some are like, it's okay. But Final Fantasy fans seem to be really happy with that one as well. But here's what I'd love to. In the past, I would have told you, oh yeah, I'm going to get around to Final Fantasy VII Remake. I want to. I own it. It looks great. Whenever I see it at not trade shows, at like game shows and stuff, I'm like, ooh, that looks fun. But there's just always something else that you get to a point maybe where you just go, you're not going to get to watch everything you want to watch. You're not going to get to play everything you want to play. And I would say when there's downtime, I'll play Final Fantasy VII. There's never downtime. There's always a game I'm chomping at the bit to get a hold of and play. So I would be very stunned if I get around to Final Fantasy VII Remake. But I hear from people who've played it, it is fucking the bee's knees. It's good people. But thank you for watching the show, and tell me, I'm curious, how did you find this stream? How did you discover me? Yeah, cloud streaming Call of Duty on Switch is a possibility, but obviously it's kind of hit or miss depending on how your internet is. I did play the original Final Fantasy VII. Yes, of course. Okay. The music, the combat, and charm is godly, says Fearless, in that game, in the remake. I think people miss the massive shift this is in the console industry, says Mr. Orange. Today, Microsoft has pivoted again to a semi-multi-platform publisher, which I love when it makes sense. Yeah. Yep. All right, let's move on. Okay. Listen to this. Oh, not that. Listen to this. Oh, is that right, Mr. Okay, cool. Listen to this. Michael Kelly says, Phil Spencer says he doesn't want to take games away from PlayStation players. Come on. It's all, they do. They want to put them out of business. I don't know if they want to, but you start putting all this shit on Game Pass. I mean, that's the thing. Think about it for a brief moment. Nintendo doesn't care. Valve doesn't care. 2K said they don't care. Microsoft, Sony is this is why, if you love Sony and you're a near and dear to Sony, then you better hope Jimmy Ryan's spaghetti method of hoping one of these 10 service-based games hit. Because when you really think about it, all this is really doing is explaining shining a light on the fact that Sony has painted themselves into a corner with what they are best at is not sustainable at the volume that they've been best at it. Making these $240+ million video games that are one and dones is not sustainable because the prices keep going up. And all these other companies have found ways to try to make money without leaning on that. And, Sony is kind of going, don't take that away from us. I get it. And I hope, Last of Us, Witch X talks about Last of Us. I hope Last of Us 2 online multiplayer mode is great. Maybe we'll see some more of it tomorrow night at the Game Awards. But, this is the business. And, you can hate the term one and done, Blackjack. I guarantee you who hates it more are the publishers who go, why aren't we selling as much? Oh, because somebody played it and gave it back to the store or loaned it to a friend after a weekend when they already beat it. I hope Microsoft gets Call of Duty, says Screenplay. Hopefully this gets PlayStation to put out their own FPSs again. I do too. I would love that. To see Sony go, you know what? Yeah, we're going to try to keep Call of Duty, but fuck it. We're going back to war. We're going to take the guys over at Bungie and the guys at Guerrilla, and we're just going to say, fuck it. We're going to war with you sons of bitches. I'd love to see it. Listen to this. Speaking of war, God of War. You know who has thrown his hat in the ring? Not necessarily for Kratos, who just says, I want to play in that world of God of War. One of my favorite new actors, who I actually think would make a great Indiana Jones, David Harbour, says this. He says, I really like, the guy in Stranger Things, also in Violent Night, which just came out, did pretty well in the box office. Christian says Sony has good FPSs. They have Killzone. Those never really connected. Part of that was because PS3 was, not the main hardware when those things like Resistance and Killzone were first introduced. People were on, Xbox. It was too expensive. But I think there's also a part of it that they didn't really connect. Right. He's also in Black Widow. But he says, look, I really like what those guys in the God of War universe are doing with my buddy Richard Schiff as Odin. Toby and Dr. Glassman, one of my favorite actors. They sort of mess around with that genre too, and they're always surprising in terms of these gods, and they wind up becoming Thor being a big old jerk and Odin being this kind of older intellectual. Harbour continues, that universe and what Cory Barlog does, is pretty fascinating. So I'd be interested in possibly doing some of that. While it's easy to imagine Harbour's vocals, this is GG Recon, Harbour's vocals in the next God of War, there might be even a better idea. And then they're going on to talk about, could he play Kratos in the Amazon TV show? I think it's really interesting because, at this point, like, I never felt T.C. Carson would make a good live action Kratos because of the size. But Chris Judge is a good actor. He's got the right build. He's got the experience. He's not a name like David Harbour, but then again, a lot of these streaming series, it's not like the movies where you got to get a Tom Cruise in there. It doesn't really seem to matter as much. So maybe Chris Judge could actually be in the running, assuming they're going with the Norse story first, which I imagine they would, but I don't know. Well, Lux says they should do Greek Kratos first, someone younger. If they do Greek Kratos, they would. But it's less about, it's not about finding somebody who looks like Kratos. It's about finding somebody who has the presence of Kratos and can perform. Amazon. I think it's Amazon making the God of War show. Yeah. Okay, hang on a sec. Listen to this. What do you mean? Rocker Matt says, I'm still confused as to how it's going to work with Will Arnett doing the voice of another live actor. It's like Darth Vader. I mean, there's a number of roles where the actor who performed the physical presence wasn't the voice. Hell, I was stunned. I didn't even know this till a few years ago that Flash Gordon, one of my favorite movies of the 80s, early 80s, the guy who plays Flash has a totally different voice than the guy who acted as Flash physically. So it happens a lot. Okay. Okay. So listen to this. I want to talk a little bit about this story. A survey came out today. Anti-Defamation League says their latest hate and harassment in online gaming. Here's the new status, fellas. 86% of adults that play online games had experienced harassment in the last 6 months. There are spikes in white supremacist ideology and identity-based harassment as well. The number of adults that were exposed to white supremacist ideology went from 8% last year to 20% this year. 44% of adults who play Call of Duty reported it. 35% who played GTA Online reported it. 34% who played Valorant. And then amongst younger kids, 13 to 17, Dota had an explosion in white supremacy ideology being represented online. And for younger kids, PUBG, 32%. And they went out of their way. They said, look, if somebody in Grand Theft Auto says the N-word, or someone's chanting 2024 Trump, that's not white supremacy. They said an example of white supremacy that they track for their survey would a player being told by another player that non-white races are intended to be slaves to white people. Something like that, right? There are surges reported by Jewish players this year, 22 to 34% jump. Latino gamers, 25 to 31 jump. Muslim gamers, 26 to 30% jump. Finally, the players most likely to have experienced identity-based harassment are women, 47%, black people, 44%, Asians, 40%, and LGBT, 37%. I don't know how this gets solved. I'd like to think, I mean, look, if I can say, it's amazing how good Alexa is at doing voice recognition. You would think at this point, if someone does say something like the N-word or, whatever that is defined, that the AI could pick up on it and go, let's review this, right? I don't, Frank says the new Call of Duty game will block any form of game voice chat if toxic behavior is reported. I think a player is banned for a week on first offense. I mean, I think they need to do, here's what I'll tell you. I mean, I don't have a problem with it for me personally, because the minute I go into a Call of Duty game, if I'm talking to you, it's because you're on the Discord. But I mute everybody. Fuck you, Sir Nick. If you can't take a joke, then don't joke at all. Come on, man. Is this what we're talking about? Is that really where your head is? If you can't take come on, man. Forget the fact that the company should clean up their fucking digital streets. But the idea that, it's just a joke, well, for a lot of people who don't have the same privilege that you and I might, Sir Nick, it's not just a joke. It's a constant reminder. I loved Guardians of the Galaxy Geno Soul. Thought it was great. Never finished it. Played it for a long time, though. Really enjoyed it. I got to nowhere, though, and I just kind of lost steam. It would kick all the Chinese players using the equivalent of in sentences that sound like the N-word. I'm sure they could figure it out, Lord Garth. Wayne, it's not the point. You guys just, guys, I'm not saying you can't handle it. I'm not saying that people will fall apart if you say something, just stop being assholes to people. What is hard about this, Sir Nick? Stop being an asshole to people. It's hurtful. It doesn't mean they'll die. It doesn't mean you'll go to jail. It doesn't mean you'll get canceled. It just means that you're being a dick. And if you're playing Call of Duty and you want to really be an asshole, then be better at them and fucking constantly annoy the fuck out of them because you're better at them at the game. But my God, man, these people who are, it's just a fucking joke. It's not. It is for you, but it's hurtful. No, it's not. Yeah, well, they're telling you it is. It just drives me nuts. People are such assholes. I get that it's mostly 12-year-olds. And the parents should be ashamed of themselves. If I heard my kids talking to people like that when they were that age, fuck. I don't know. I don't believe in hitting kids, but I don't know what I would do. What do you mean whatever happened to common sense, Jaffe, says Roy? Well, I don't agree with that. Edgelord says people let their true colors fly under anonymity. That's not true. People who tend to traffic in hate speech or wanting to hurt other people in any way, certainly in this case, we're talking words, their true colors are not that. Their true colors are, I am scared. I feel vulnerable to the world. I don't know where I fit in. And right now, I am going to express that by making other people feel shitty. That's their true colors. D-Trucks, thank you for the super chat, buddy. He says Jaffe would take away the Xbox. Yeah, I'm canceling Game Pass, kids. And they'd be like, so? I don't care. They don't play Game Pass. Fuck, you got me. If I was basically to do something when my kids were younger that would really upset them, I would tell my daughter, I would say, you know, that Taylor Swift concert we're going to, we're not doing it. And for my son, I would say, at the time, I would say, yeah, Minecraft, I'm canceling your Minecraft server account. Roy says people are taking things too seriously. I think when it comes to the internet and the trash talk, again, man, I understand the English that you are saying. I hear what you're saying. And we're going to move on. I'm not going to preach at people, but what I'm trying to get you to understand, though, and maybe you just understand it, but you don't agree, and that's fine. But what I'm trying to express, I guess, and I'm disappointed that I can't express it better, is that because I love trash talking too, Wayne, but it's very fun. Last night we were playing Call of Duty and we had CR3D and he was telling this crazy story about his high school football team. And it was just like, dude, and we were totally taking the piss, but we were all in on it. It was fun. It was stupid. Nobody dislikes CR3D. Nobody says anything about CR3D personally is a problem. We're just shooting the shit and having a good time. That's different than going on with a stranger. You don't know their life. You don't know the color of their skin. You don't know if you're playing with a father who actually does have a child who is autistic or mentally challenged in some way, and you're like, you're the R word, and it's like, okay, yeah, you don't mean it, but that dad doesn't know it. He's just having his feelings hurt, going, my son is going to go out into the world and have to put up with people like this who don't even consider that what they are saying could be harmful. Developer says, but that is life, Jaffe. It doesn't have to be developer. A long time ago, life was you knocked a woman on the head and dragged her into a cave and fucked her and had a baby. And then you left because you didn't want to take care of it. That was life too. But we evolve as a species, as a culture. Why am I always say taking the piss? I don't know. I'm not from Mariole. I heard those words from English friends. But all right, let's move on. I want to talk one more thing about this, not the racist stuff. We're going to move on from that, but it is connected because it's about. I mean, I want you to think about this. I know. I invite you, and I know this sounds arrogant. I don't care. I invite you to look at this from a 30,000 foot view, and just consider that it's not all jokes. And this is the story that was earlier this week. The U.S. Army planned to pay streamers millions of dollars to reach Gen Z through Call of Duty. I want you to think about the implications of this. This is from Vice. I'm just going to read you the first two paragraphs they're reporting. The U.S. Army allocated millions of bucks of ducats, I added the color there because it's more fun, to sponsor a wide range of esports tournaments, individual high-profile Call of Duty streamers, and Twitch events in the last year to specifically grow its audience with Gen Z viewers, and especially women and Black and Hispanic people. In many cases, the sponsorships ultimately didn't happen because the Army ordered a stop because of Activision and their wave of sexual harassment issues and all that. But the documents do provide insight into the Army's goals and intentions behind planned integrations with Call of Duty and other massive entertainment franchises. These guys, the U.S. Army is saying, look, we're running out of bodies to throw at countries that are primarily countries with people of color that have resources that we want, that we tell Americans that they're threatening our freedom. We need more bodies to throw at them. And so they're trying to get soldiers and increase the Army's favorability by letting them play Call of Duty and say, you like Call of Duty, do you? Well, I know they're doing it for America's Army, Brian East, but that's stamped on the fucking thing. It's called America's Army. It's sponsored by the Army or the military. I'm not sure which branch, or it might just be the Army that sponsors them. This is more subversive. This is going into the actual games that are being streamed and going, hey, you think this is fun? Come try it for fucking real. I don't know. That's terrible to me. I don't think joining the Army is terrible. I don't think being a soldier is terrible. But I think, what do you mean it's not true? Justin Black says, that's not true, Jaffe. The majority of the military fuels the infrastructure and intelligence sector. A very minor portion goes into the line of duty. So then why aren't they advertising with people who play House Flipper? Why aren't they advertising with games that people who build maps and shit in Roblox? If you're trying to go after infrastructure and intelligence sector, they're going after people who play games where they shoot and kill. And again, they have a right to do it. I'm just saying, I would hate to be one of these kids. It's like, fuck, man. This guy's like, dude, your Call of Duty skills are awesome. Why don't you come on down to the recruitment office? Show us how you do it. We got a Call of Duty with a 60-inch screen down there. Fuck yeah. I mean, and next thing you know, he's fucking, come on now. I don't know about that, developer. I know that, this is nothing new. We know that Top Gun in 86 came out and we saw recruitment shoot up for the Navy and the Air Force, oddly, and not oddly, but it was about the Navy, but whatever. Delta Force. Delta Force had so many weird stories about the making of that game with Canon Films and Chuck Norris and two different directors. And Delta Force 2 was released as Delta Force 1 because Delta Force 1 was horrible. So they just made Delta Force 2 the first one and said, no one will care. And they didn't. Once Delta Force 1 was a brand name, everybody went and saw Delta Force 2. I got no problem with trash talk, but we're talking about something different. Hello, Dwayne. Imagine thinking your Call of Duty skills translate to real life combat. I'm just saying, fellas. Look, I don't like it. Well, see, Scott, that's where I disagree with you. You're saying this has always been the case since the 90s. In the 90s or in the early 2000s, like Full Spectrum Warrior, like somebody said, or America's Army, or ads that play in front of certain movies or whatever, that's different. It's very clear what they're doing. But when you're now integrating these folks into the PR infrastructure, so that it doesn't feel as much like an ad. It feels like, that thing you're doing on the screen, we could use you in the actual army. That just feels a little disingenuous to me. And the other part is, I think it was the Army or the Air. It's probably the Army. They had a Twitch channel, and they and I love this about the Twitch audience. They started asking the soldiers that were playing Call of Duty about all the war crimes that the American government has committed, and they had to take the channel down for a while because what are they going to say? It's not their fault. They didn't commit the war crimes, the individuals on the Twitch channel, but it's nice to know that there are people out there watching these streams that actually are like, wait a second, I'm not a fucking moron. You want me to come join the army? That's cool, but explain white phosphorus in Fallujah first, please. What was that about? I'm not suggesting that if you're good at quick scoping or firing from the hip or sliding around a corner or bunny hopping, this shit's insidious, fellas. It's like, again, why is this hard? Maybe I'm the idiot. Why is this hard? Whether it's hate speech online or this, it's not, you have to be careful, I think, because it's not the obvious where they get you. It's where it seeps into the foundation, under the floorboards, and before you know it, you've been gotten. I understand that only the biggest moron on the planet would think, I'm really good at sliding and quick firing or hip firing in Call of Duty. They need me in the army. I get it. No one believes that. But it's the good vibe association that you start to make with that game, with that institution, is what they're going for. It's not about flattering you to tell you that you could come kill bad guys, although that's part of it. It's building a feeling that you go towards when you look at the United States military, if you're a hardcore Call of Duty player, and it makes you more apt to join up for a disingenuous reason. That's all I'm saying. Again, the chat's just full of it right now. What if you're jumping around? And I know, no one's saying that. Is it just me? Am I the only one that sees this? I'm literally looking at a chat right now where everyone's just like, even Frank, who I played with last night in Call of Duty, he says, I'm really good at sliding and hip firing. My country could use someone like me. I know. No one's saying that. Zaf says propaganda only needs to convince. Right. It doesn't need to train. Games can be used to do that by presenting a romanticized view of war and combat. Exactly. Eddie Torres says, are you saying rocket jumping doesn't work in war? And it cuts to like some soldier out in the field. It's like, man, we lost Bobby today. What happened, sir? Well, we were going towards that, see that hill up there? We're trying to get up on top of the hill. Bobby's like, I got it. We don't have to take the long way. And he points the rocket launcher right at the ground. And I was like, first I thought it was some kind of malfunction. But then right when he was going, he was like, fuck you noobs was the last thing he said. And he fired the goddamn rocket right in the ground and blew himself up. Needless to say, we did not take that hill today. We just turned around and picked up as much as we could of Bobby, and we went back home. It's okay, Jaffe. You have a lot of people who have fallen to the propaganda. I guess so, Morgan. I guess so. Yeah, Masochista says, I'd be the biggest camper in real life. Masochista, why don't you get your ass out on that field? Your platoon is dying. Sarge, I got this. I'm just going to lay right here behind this box. You've been there for an hour, son. No, this is going to work. Okay. Okay. Do I think there's a philosophical dilemma in designing a game with guns? No, I don't. I think there's a philosophical dilemma in raising kids that are not media literate and that are not able to take apart when big business and corporations, which include the military, are manipulating you with entertainment and good feelings in order to get you to do something they want, which is not in your best interest. What are you doing out there, D-Trucks? Why are you standing up and sitting down over that corpse's face you just killed? I'm teabagging, sir. I got a prestige. Yeah, can you imagine? Okay. All right, let's move forward, shall we? Let me tell you something. It's important. This is where I leave you. If you're watching the show and you're not a member, you can keep watching the show. We're going to come back. We're going to talk about the absolute worst video game systems to collect for if you're a retro gamer and you're into the collecting of the video games. We're going to talk about that for a little bit. I'm going to tell you what Destructoid said. You do not want to be collecting these systems. We are going to talk a little bit about skill-based matchmaking, and we're also going to watch some trailers. There was a 4-minute Dead Island gameplay trailer that dropped. The Diablo 4 previews have been absolutely excellent. I've read a lot of them today. GameSpot has a wonderful deep dive if you're interested in Diablo 4, but there's like 6 minutes of a hands-on preview we're going to watch, and I'm going to turn on the red phone. We're going to chill, and it's going to be more casual, turning on members-only chat. So again, if you are watching live, stick around, member or not, stick around, and we'll shoot the shit when I come back. If you are watching after the fact, this is indeed where I leave you. But consider a membership to Gabbin' and Games, and you can watch the whole show. Also, tomorrow night, don't forget, Game Awards is tomorrow night. We'll be watching that. Everybody can watch, but that will be a members-only chat. So if you want to chat or you want to call, consider a membership. If not, don't worry about it. Good having you here. Always great to see you guys. Like the show if you like it. Helps the algorithm. Subscribe. Turn on the notification bell, all that good shit. All right. I'm going to turn on a little break. We got about an 8-minute break, and then we're going to come back to members only. And we'll see you real quick. All right.